Good evening. How you doing? What's going on? All right. I am so excited that you all are here. Listen, let me know that you're here. Put a purple heart in the comment section. Let me know that you're here. If you're catching this video on replay, put hashtag replay in the comment section. That way I can come back and formally greet you. I am your host, Latresa Rice. I am your certified mindset coach. I help bereaved Christians regain hope by rediscovering their identity and healing through writing. Welcome to Worthy Wednesdays with Latresa. Today we are talking about 3 ways that failing to write your story is blocking you. 3 ways that failing to write your story is blocking you. In order to talk about this topic, first and foremost, let me see who's in the room. I need to make sure that you are the person that this message is designed for. So, if you've been praying about it and you know that God is calling you to write a book, put a gift that says me in the comment section. Using a gift, say me in the comment section if that's you. If you have, not only do you know that God is calling you to write a book, but you even have a title to the book. Use a gift to say me in the comment section. If you know that God has called you to write a book, He gave you the title to the book, and you still haven't started writing the book, you can use a gift in the comment section to say me. All right. That way I know who I'm talking to, who's in the room. Okay. So let's just talk about this. I want you to think about code red. When we are talking about what's causing us to fail to write our story, there's a code red. In a hospital, when they say code red, a lot of times they're talking about fire, or there's a cardiopulmonary arrest that's taking place with someone. But keep in mind, if you are failing to write the story that you know that God has called you to write, then it is a code red. There may be a cardiopulmonary arrest happening with you, because guess what? Our heart is not in the right spot. If we know God has called us to write this story, but we are failing to start it or failing to write it, then we have a heart issue. We got to get our heart right. We need to make sure we're in His will. We need to make sure we're doing what He's calling us to do, even if it's fearful, even if we feel afraid. We have to remember that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but that of power and of love and of a sound mind. We have a disciplined mind. We have agape love. That word love in the middle means agape. And power, that's dunamis. So He hasn't given you a spirit of timidity, which is that spirit of fear, but He's given you a spirit of power, dunamis. He's giving you a spirit of agape and sound mind, right? All those things important. Love holds the both of those together and keeps them in check. So that's important. We need to make sure that we're doing what we're called to do. So I'm saying code red. If we're not writing the story that we know that God has called us to write for whatever reason, whether it's fear, whether we're not writing it because we are doubting that anybody would read it. I've been in that position even when I was writing the first book, doubting that somebody would purchase it because somebody said something to you, said something such as, nobody's going to read that book. Who do you think is going to purchase that book? Why do you think your story matters? Everybody else got a story. We all got stories. Somebody may have said something that stopped you in your tracks of writing that story. But guess what? When we're failing to write the story, now we got to holler code red. There's a fire that's taking place, and it's not purifying us. It's actually blocking us from proceeding because we are not exercising the authority we've been given to trample over that and move through it. Right? There's a cardiopulmonary arrest taking place. In this instance, it's a heart issue. We got to get our heart back right with God. So, thinking code red, the 3 ways that failing to write your story is blocking you is 1, I want you to put this in the comment section, robbing you of an opportunity to experience a release. What do I mean by that? In order to tell you what I mean by that, I got to go back. So in 2020, when I lost my grandmother, and then a month later, my husband died from COVID-19, I didn't want to write again. When I think about over my lifetime, most of the things that I wrote, my grandma would read that. right? It was a big deal for her to read my poetry or to read writings, and she was a huge encourager. And then here comes along my husband. We meet on Facebook Messenger. He slid in my DMs, right? We have this courtship that takes place. We get married. 5 months later, he dies from COVID-19, and he was also a huge supporter, so much so that he would talk about the books and things that I would write and things that I was doing with people I didn't even know, and they would simply purchase stuff because he talked about it. How many of you know when someone dies, someone that you love, someone that you're really close to, someone who was a major supporter in your life in a particular area? Sometimes it's hard for you to rise from that and continue even in that thing. So I went through that period. I didn't want to write anymore. I'm done with writing, right? Forget that. I don't care. I don't want to do it. But guess what? The very thing that I didn't want to do God used to help me in my healing process. And part of that was I actually, although I'm a licensed clinician, I got my own clinician, right? That was immense pain. I was going through a lot mentally, and I could not properly pour into others without taking the time to first heal, and even in myself. Right. I couldn't see clients at that time. Right. At that moment, I was fighting for my life. I'm trying to live. I have moments of not wanting to be here. Light coming through the windows, and I'm pulling the blackout curtains because I don't want to see the light right now. I'm mad that I'm still present, like going through. Some of you may be dealing with that. And so the thought of even writing your story can be real daunting. It can be hard to even think about that, because writing your story means you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to reflect on the painful parts, because somebody else who's going to read that story is dealing with that pain. So the first way in which failing to write your story is blocking you, I want you to put an R in the comment section. We're going to put R dash, robbing you of an opportunity to experience a release. So during that time, I worked with my therapist at the time, right? And I knew the therapist was going to ask me to write this letter to my husband, stating all the things I desired to say and I didn't get a chance to say and all that type of stuff. And I didn't want to do it. That's I already know about that. Sometimes if it's a field that you are an expert in, or a field that's your specialty, you could be some of the hardest patients. A brain surgeon, it doesn't make sense for a brain surgeon that needs surgery on their brain to operate on themselves. But when I decided to get out of my own way, right, I heed the advice of some of the people who were closest to me, saying, you know what, sis, I think you need to go see somebody. You're really going through. I'm like, what they gonna tell me? They're gonna do cognitive therapy. What else? Going through all of that drama. But guess what? The longer I took to actually start writing something or engaging in that healing process, the longer I was robbing myself of an opportunity to experience a massive release. Tears can be releasing, it can be cleansing for you, and writing can help you have that release. So we want to make sure that we're not blocking ourselves from experiencing the release that we need in the healing process by failing to start writing our story. So the first way that you could be blocking yourself by failing to write your story is robbing yourself of an opportunity to experience a release. So I wrote this letter, and I work it with my therapist in this letter, and I remember feeling a huge weight off of me in that moment, right? Another thing that I was doing is I was just writing Facebook posts. I was trying to survive. I didn't want to write any more books. I wasn't trying to write poems or anything else dealing with writing. But for me, I said, I write this Facebook post, and sometimes I write the post and I'm bawling. But then I'm looking at this post and I'm rereading it to encourage myself, because the way I structured the post was I would share a happy memory or some sort of memory between my husband and I. And then I would share a lesson learned from that memory so that it's not lost, if you will. And I kept hashtagging hurt but grateful, but I was not planning to write any type of book. It was just how I felt in the moment. And I would reread these posts and I'm bawling. But again, even typing a Facebook post is an aspect of writing. We're still writing something. You're still expressing how you feel, which can still give you an opportunity of release. And later on, if you desire to, you would be able to take those posts and turn it into a book. There's so many different things that you can do with your writing, no matter where you place it. All right. So the first way in which failing to write your story can be blocking you is robbing you of an opportunity to experience a release. The second way that failing to write your story can be blocking you, I want you to put E in the comment section, put an E, dash, ensuring that you do not fulfill this aspect of God's assignment for your life. Thus, you keep those who need the solutions that your story offers bound. Man. So let me take y'all back. I did this stuff with my therapist, right? Did this writing with my therapist. Now I'm feeling okay. I still don't want to write any books right now, but I'm okay with writing at this point, right? After working with my therapist. Then I get I want to say it was a text message, but I don't know. I get contacted by my publishing company, and they're getting ready to come out with another book. And he asked me, would you be willing to write the foreword? Now, had I not taken the time to take the first step in that aspect of healing by writing that letter, I wouldn't have been ready to write in that book. But we've been getting testimonials from the book Faith, Failure, Success, Stories Along the Entrepreneur Journey. But see, here's the thing. When you don't walk in the assignment that God is giving you, you're blocking somebody else from experiencing the healing that he has planned for them that's coming from the story that you release. So we need to make sure that we are being obedient, because your obedience not only unlocks blessings for you, but your obedience unlocks blessings for the people that are waiting to hear from you. There are people that are waiting on the story that only you can provide, because God has blessed you to walk it out. He's blessed you to come out of that thing, and they need the solutions that are in your story. But if you don't write it, you are blocking yourself from fully walking in the assignment that God has given you, and you're blocking yourself from reaping the benefits of being obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Last but not least, the third way that failing to write your story causes you to block yourself, I want you to put a D in the comment section. Put a D in the comment section, dash, destroys your opportunity to reap from over 7 streams of income from one God-given task. D dash destroys your opportunity to reap from over 7 streams of income from one God-given task. What do I mean by that? For many of us, we see author, we see one book, and we just think book. You just may be thinking, look, God, I went through some stuff, and I wrote this book, and now it's published. But guess what? God knows what you went through, and the enemy owes you a return on that pain that you've experienced. So God has blessed you to have the mindset or the desire, or he's blessed you to have that desire to write this book, because he wants to bless you in the midst of that, right? So guess what? One of the blessings in the midst of that book is your book can become a play. So you got a book, you have a play, you have a movie, you may have products such as shirts, dresses, ink pens, all that stuff is other streams of income. You may have classes that are taught from your book. You may have a workbook with that book. Okay? You have speaking engagements with that book. That's 7 streams right there. On top of that, you may have a podcast with that book. Based on that book is multiple streams of income. So the choice to say, you know what, God, I know you're calling me to write this book, but I don't want to do it. It's the same as saying, God, I know you want to give me over 8 different streams of income for what I've gone through, but I don't want it. You can keep that. I'm straight. How many of you are willing to tell God, I'm straight. I don't need that. I know after experiencing that loss, I experienced some financial hardship. And I know you told me to write this book, and there are over 8 different streams that I could possibly earn from by writing this book. But you know what, God? I'm straight. I know your word says the money is in the fish's mouth, but I still got to do something. I got to give you something to work with. Even the young man gave Jesus his lunch to bless the people. I got to give you something to work with, but I'm straight. I'm not going to write that book. So you're blocking yourself. Are you ready to stop blocking yourself? Because God, he desires to bless you. He knows the pain that you've gone through. He knows how hard it was for you to make it out. He knows that you learned multiple lessons in the process. And as a benefit of that, he wants to bless you and bless others at the same time through one act: publishing your story. If you are ready to do what God is calling you to do, then I am ready to assist you. Again, I just want to welcome you. Thank you for joining Worthy Wednesdays with Latresa. I am your host, certified mindset coach, Latresa Rice. I help bereaved Christians regain hope by rediscovering their identity and healing through writing. Listen, I have an opportunity for you. If you're saying, you know what, I'm ready to stop telling God no. I'm ready to stop refuting all these extra streams of income that he's trying to send my way. I'm ready to get started in writing my story. If you purchase a copy of the book, Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm, between now and June 18th, you can gain access to a free book writing workshop with me. It's 30 minutes. It's free. But you'll need to see proof of purchase of the book, Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. In that book, I wrote the chapter titled Life on Fire. I'm describing some of my experiences from 2020, the different losses, and what God did to help me come out of that. If you are ready to get started on your journey, on your healing journey to wholeness, and you're ready to start pursuing what God has placed in your heart to pursue with regards to writing this story, you need to be in the place. Get your copy of the book, Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. The link is in the caption. You can click that link, get your copy of the book. You can inbox me your proof of purchase, and I will get you the link to join the free book writing workshop. I love you all. Have an amazing night.